It's a warehouse by the.
And we are here live for our second live show. We're into this 3 months now, guys.
Wow.
Can you believe
Halfway
that?
there.
Yeah, we trust each other now, right? And so we can like dig in and
Yes.
tell off jokes and stuff about each other.
A little
Can
bit.
we do that? Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Hey. Rest stop, Goose Creek rest stop. It wins the Golden Turkey Award and from AmericanExperiment.org. That's pretty exciting stuff there too. And then there's a man busted stealing. What was he stealing?
Woo! Girl Scout cookies.
Girl Scout cookies. We're going to talk about that today too, everybody. Is that evidence?
It's hot evidence.
Can we show the evidence on the camera here? Let's show the
goods.
evidence.
Show the goods.
Show the goods.
Yeah, go ahead. Hold it up again. You gotta hold
Hot
it up.
stuff.
Yeah, there
Fresh
you
from
go.
the some guy's car.
Is that the evidence? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a San Diego man who was arrested for taking a 2-year-old inside an elephant exhibit at the zoo. And then we're going to talk about how there's a mayor down in Texas who is blasting Biden. He's a Democrat mayor. We should make sure we say that
give that credit where it's due.
for predictable border crisis. He says that he's disconnected from reality. So we're going to talk about that as well today. But hey, thanks for joining us. And who is to my right today?
Lisa Lingle.
That you are my right.
Yeah.
The birthday girl.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Harmony Sage.
Martha Makashati.
And Craig Ugland.
And whoa, and my volume's loud. I am Matt Logan. I am the head of the Misfits.
The head misfit.
We
Make
need
sure
a leader.
make sure that you hammer that like button, hammer the share button, and send us a comment. We will be attempting to take comments again today. So yeah, let's have a good time. Let's just go with Biden right away. And I was looking at a list of the presidents and stuff too, and how old they are in comparison to Joe Biden, and I was pretty astounded by that because he says he will likely seek re-election. This is out of the New York AP. Biden says that he will likely seek re-election in 2024, but the 78-year-old Democrat is leaving open the possibility of stepping aside after one term. Biden addresses political future Thursday during a wide-ranging news conference, the first of his young presidency. They have to throw the word young in there, don't they, after 78? Just
Subliminal messaging.
right. They have to look elsewhere. Don't look at the 78. Look at the young presidency. He says, my plan is to run for re-election. That's my expectation. He later pushed back against a reporter suggestion that his 2024 plans were decided. I said that it's my expectation, Biden said. I'm a great respecter of fate. Wait, what does that mean? I've never been able to plan foreign.
I'm really glad somebody pointed out. When I read that, I thought, I'm like, what?
Yeah, what? To plan 3.5 years ahead for certain. At 78, Biden is the oldest person to assume the presidency. Now, I remember when, and I looked this up, and let's show this on the screen if we could here, if we're not already. Ronald Reagan, I remember when he was running, and he kind of made a joke out of how old he was, and he was 69 years old, almost 70 years old when he took office. And then next oldest was actually Donald Trump. I was pretty surprised by that. He was 70 years old. So Joe Biden has him. Well, he's got him whooped.
That's one thing he's good at.
Yeah.
He's got him beat at that. Oh my.
So
He's got to make it through the first 100 days first. Wait, doesn't he have to make it through his first term? Isn't the expectation that Harris will take over shortly soon kind of thing? So why is he talking about 2024? This drives me crazy. What a press conference it was. Anyways, let alone, I think I seen it on CNBC, and they had 20,000 thumbs down for the video and 1.9 thumbs up. I almost thought it was a Trump a Trump video.
Well, the hate on Trump would have been the opposite of that. That would have been.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I almost thought it was a Trump video just with how many thumbs down they had for the Biden video. So that's what I'm saying. He had 2 times more thumbs down than he did a thumbs up.
Sure.
So, anyways, wow. I mean, this is what he comes out with, and this is the selling point from KTTC News with the press release from yesterday. I mean, compared to talking about immigration, economics, COVID, their headline is "Run for Re-election in 2024." Wow.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and they're talking about that is pretty incredibly amazing. I don't understand it either.
Kind of comical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little
it's
silly.
Let him get through his first year. Let him see if he can sit there for that long. And
First 100 days. Oh my gosh.
it was. I was listening to it again on the way out, and I'm not a political side person, and I don't listen to every president's speech ever, but every one of his questions at the start of it were all pre-written questions. He didn't even know the reporters. He was calling them off of a sheet.
yeah.
Like,
He had
they
all,
couldn't have
I've never seen a
prepared for this
president with that many
better, and he was
sheets.
still fumbling through every single question.
Mm.
It makes me wonder his mental capacity.
Well,
that
it's his
he
first
couldn't
one. I
take
mean,
it.
it's his first one. Had he
But he's been in
speaking-
politics for
I
50
know,
years.
I know,
This isn't his first time speaking, and
I know.
some of his things about, I don't know how the proper protocol runs in the Senate. Well, you were a senator for 20 years.
I mean, it's
you
his
should
first
know
one
these
from coming
things.
out of the basement. That's what I meant. It's his first one since coming out of
Coming out of the basement, yeah.
Yeah.
It scares me, and I'm not going to sit here and bash on President Biden, but I'm nervous.
I got to give Mohammed a shout out today because I was talking to him last night. He was my Lyft driver and stuff, and we had a really great conversation. So hey, I hope you're watching, listening,
Hi,
Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Yeah.
He was a great guy. We had about a 50 minute ride, and like I was telling him, for me it's about looking at the policies and not the person, because as people we're going to fail. Craig, I'm sorry, but I'm going to fail you. But that's the reality of it. And so what we have to do as constituents, we have to he's our president. I mean, whether you voted for him or not, I don't really care if you like him personally or not. He's the president of the United States, and we're citizens. And so we have to look at the policies, and that's so important. Is he capable of making good policies and things? Well, it's interesting. That's what, to me, that's what you have to look at.
Yep.
And I always say, just, never follow the messenger, follow the message. So, and I do, my input on this is a little soon. Even when he was running, there was jokes, with all due respect to the president of the United States, that Kamala was going to be taking over shortly. So let's just see how he does. I'm surprised that this is already running, that this is an article that we're actually discussing, but it is comical to me as well.
I looked up too, I believe it was Carter, Jimmy Carter. He didn't have his first press conference until April of his presidency. So while this isn't, it's very, very rare that it's this late. There hasn't been a State of the Union this
I was
year.
just going to mention that. Where's the State of the Union address? That's a lot of pressure for my perspective, is that would be a lot of pressure for him, considering he's obviously not a great public speaker. So
it makes me question his mental capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, I've struggled with that a lot, and watching as he was running for election and things, like Martha May made a joke out of it, hiding in the basement. I mean, he didn't get out. He didn't go and do any kind of press or not, I shouldn't say any. He didn't do very many of them. And so that's kind of scary. We are supposed to be the leaders of the free world, or he's supposed to be the leader of the free world, and his mental capacity is clearly wanting.
Well, everything else that's going on right now, for this to be the top of his.
I think that's bad by KTTC, that their headline of that whole press conference was his reelection, and that was just a few minutes of the
Well, you know,
press
how, like some
conference.
people, when they get of age, you know, you got to redo a driving test or this or that. You know, wouldn't it be interesting for presidents of the United States to have to take a test or something just to be like,
Competency.
hey, let's just make sure you're qualified and you know your information.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
called impeachment. Yeah. Recall. Going
Would-
back to his press conference too, you know, I mean, literally, Matt, you and I talked about that. I literally thought it was gonna be a lot worse than it was. Like listening to it, every word of it, I literally thought it was gonna be a lot worse. But one thing that kept coming out was one job Joe. He kept telling the reporters, I'm working on COVID right now. I can't work on the Second Amendment. I can't work on immigration because I'm working on COVID. I'm one job Joe. This is all I can handle is one thing at one task at a time. You know, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, whatever happened to the leader of our free country being able to do this and be able to do this and control this and have people to delegate this. And now all of a sudden he's appointing, you know, the vice president to take care of all this and different things like that. So one job Joe, I guess, is what his name.
We better make sure that this doesn't get on screen, huh? Don't put the computer on screen. Look at
No.
somebody's searching memes. Yoda memes and this isn't my computer. This is a production assistant's
Shirtless
computer.
officer.
You got cheese.
I'm about to Google something and,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Oh, the secrets we hold.
we are as
That's a
real as it
pay-per-view
gets.
show.
We are as real as it gets, people.
Yeah.
We're working class people. We are
Volunteers.
we're clearly fun, or try to be anyway. But
That's the pay-per-view.
the pay-per-view, well, I don't think it was quite pay-per-view.
No.
But
If you go through the history, it is. Yeah.
We're working up to a pay-per-view channel. We're working up to a pay-per-view channel. We
right,
gotta
right.
get subscribers and watchers and viewers.
Yeah, I know.
We want our loyal fans.
One thing that you talked about Martha May of he's looking ahead for 4 years, and all I can think of is a quote from the movie Big Daddy when Adam Sandler catches his ex-girlfriend or girlfriend with the old guy, and his comment is, "What's your plan? What's your 4-year plan? Don't die."
Yes.
That's all I can think of.
There's a meme
So,
for that.
yes, I'm sure there is. If not, you'll make one.
What's his 5-year plan? Don't die.
Don't die.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So-
We have to get through his first 100 days first. I mean,
Yeah.
Is it because we're talking? No, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Is it because we're talking Trump 2024 that all of a sudden we got to throw the Biden 2024 out there? I mean, do you guys see any kind of assimilation with that?
Maybe.
I hope that our country can find two better candidates than those two. We can do better. We can do better.
I'll agree with you with that.
So what's been very interesting is the media needs Trump. They literally, Twitter was in the dumps. They were going out of business. CNN was going out of business. Literally, I mean, CNN was up for sale. AT&T was selling CNN. I think they're back at it again, trying to sell CNN. CNN has laid off all kinds of people. Was it the Huffington Post laid off all kinds of people, 40 some odd people. And they're doing it kind of very interesting, like weird, arbitrary ways. I think the Huffington Post, didn't they say, like, if you got the link to this next meeting, you're still on staff, and if you didn't, you're laid off. Yeah,
Wow.
I'd have to look that up. I mean, like we always say, go and look it up for yourself, people. We're just here giving opinions, not advice, just opinions.
What has the
Thank
news
God.
been selling and promoting now that they don't have President Trump to pick on?
Right, they needed a villain, and they got one with him, and he was a good villain for them. When I say them, I mean kind of the liberal left and very left for sure. They've gone after Marjorie Taylor Greene as the villain. That didn't work. They've gone after Tucker Carlson.
Mike
Yeah, but they're not Trump, and
Yeah.
they're realizing they're not getting the clicks, they're not getting the advertising dollars and all those things, and so they need Trump. I mean,
That's really all I've got.
They really, nothing sells better than a good villain, right? And for that,
true.
and yeah, and it's becoming obvious, and maybe that's a good segue to the next story here. How Biden is blasted by a Democratic mayor for predictable border crisis. and he's disconnected from reality. It just blows my mind how disconnected from reality they are, or maybe they do know. Maybe they just don't want to call a spade, because it's uncomfortable. Said the Democrat Mayor, Mr. Lozana, down in, let's see, where was he at? Del Rio?
Yeah, it was a border town.
Let me find. I don't want to read the whole article, but it's a town of 35,000 people, and he says, "I'm asking to please stop. Please make another plan for this federal issue." The article, there's several different things about this, but there's a lot of pictures that have come out on the crisis. And as I said last week, I was right down on the border, and I talked to some people in some smaller towns. They're not really in a hot spot yet, but they fear that they're going to be. And so this is a crisis. I mean, you do need to call a spade a spade.
Was it is it a self-made crisis?
Yeah. Remember we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
What's her name? Circleback girl? Yeah, Circleback.
Yeah.
She was saying she didn't want to call it a crisis.
Jen Psaki, it's a challenge. They've been calling it a challenge.
Yeah.
She slipped up and called it a crisis.
Yeah. And
by
now
accident.
Other ones, even in the same Biden camp, are calling it a crisis. The biggest thing I pointed out of or thought of out of there is they're talking about the drug cartel and how bad. I mean, even this Democratic mayor is talking about how bad the drug cartel. Where is it? Anyways.
Was helping them.
cartels
Their
in
involvement in
Mexico, and that the
getting
fact
them up.
organized criminal activity is rising because of that.
Mhm.
Case in point.
Yep.
I mean, case in point.
And not just on the border and not on the side of the United States, but the cartels in Mexico.
Yes.
There was just officers, and maybe it was Mexico City, but there were 13 of them, I believe.
Yep.
They were shot
Yep.
and killed. I mean, they were assassinated. This was an actual ambush.
Yep.
Like this wasn't they
was
literally
premeditated.
sat and waited
Yeah.
in ambush.
Yep.
And it's such a
Terrible.
snowball effect. I mean, they don't have snowballs in Mexico. I get it, but we
Well,
do it up
They
in the
did in
north.
Texas.
I
Well,
know.
true.
Yeah, right.
I know Project Veritas and Right Side Broadcasting got down there and got some actual video and footage of everything to be able to leak a lot of this information and the pictures and everything out. And, we brought up to even President Biden how he's not even allowing any press to be down there as part of that to cover that. And if that was President Trump, they'd be all over that. Like, why are you not letting us in there? This is a freedom of speech. This is a freedom of the press
Mhm.
along with that. And why are they not even allowing that to be covered?
Well, he's going to let press in once he figures out what to do,
But he doesn't know what that plan is yet.
Mhm.
and that
No,
was in
that's
his
a good
that
point.
was in
Yeah,
his
that's
address.
It's a challenge.
Oh yeah,
He doesn't know
But-
how long that's going to take yet. either.
But
but that doesn't mean just because you don't know how to address it doesn't mean you can keep the media out.
And it's not going
That's-
to go
that's-
away by doing that. Yeah.
No, people are going to get in, and
That's what I'm
the
saying. That's
truth
freedom
needs
of
to
the
be told.
press. The press, where's our mainstream media throwing a fit? Because that's the freedom of the press. They have the right to cover that. They do. It's the freedom of the press. They have the right to cover that. So
When we we won't give out the whole meaning behind the name exactly, because we can't say on YouTube, but
yeah.
the idea is well, my name had to be in it. Let's just be honest. It's my channel. My name had to be in it. We talked about that, right? And so, but the importance of what we're doing is why we're here. And so the name shh, it matters, is that, hey, let's pause a minute. Let's look at this, push on each other on perspectives and give our thoughts and things like that. That's so crucial. And that's what the media in the United States of America is supposed to do. They're supposed to look at it, listen to what's going on, evaluate it by not opinion, but by what is really happening in reality. And so that's what we're trying to do. Like, shh, pause a minute. It matters. We have to listen to this kind of stuff. We have to go to these small towns and listen to the people who are on the ground, not ignore it. Now, what I want to say leading into that is how when the press did ask Vice President Kamala Harris, she cackled and laughed and said that she wasn't going to go down to the border today. Right. And and she said, she made the comment that, well, I've been there before. It's
South Padre spring break doesn't count.
wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
And President Biden just put her in charge. Like he said in his press conference.
keep
This
that
is
thought.
his- okay.
Keep that thought. what I want to lead into with that is they were literally condemning Florida for being open. They condemned Texas for being open. They're literally letting people from another country come here illegally with COVID.
Without
They
testing.
know, even testing them, testing them, they've been letting them in.
Yeah.
There's been all kinds of articles that they've caught it. They proved it. They literally knew of 108, I believe it was. And so they're condemning our own people. They're condemning the citizens of the United States for doing what they're doing. And then they allow people to come here illegally with COVID, and they don't care. They don't think it's a problem. That
But
to
that's the
me
problem.
is
It's
scary.
huge.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy.
I don't care. Right. It's complete hypocrisy. I don't care what political party you belong to. You cannot prop that up. It's completely wrong to me. There's my soapbox. Go ahead.
Remember,
Oh, I was just going to say in the press conference, and before that, President Biden said that he was going to put Kamala in charge of the
I don't care if you
of the immigration. Well, I want to give respect where
Yeah.
respect's due. It pronounce people's names right. His biggest issue right now is the immigration crisis. Yet he's not taking charge. He's putting her in charge. Well, that to me doesn't make sense. If this is the biggest problem in our country, shouldn't you grab the bull by the horns and take care of it? Why are you putting Kamala in charge? I would question that. So,
but remember, they're all coming to our country, Joe said, because he's nice.
because he's a nice guy.
Because Joe's a nice guy, yeah. Because they want to come to our country because Joe's nice.
Right.
There was a little 9-year-old boy that from Honduras I don't know if Project Veritas
They
or who it
interviewed him,
was.
yeah,
Was
and
it was
he
it
had a
Project
wristband,
Veritas?
yep, they
Yeah.
called him out.
And so the mom at the border of Mexico let this 9-year-old boy. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this and talking about it, because I can't even imagine that. It's so bad in Honduras that this mom sends a little 9-year-old kid on his own with this crowd of people to make it to the United States of America, because, as it was worded, Papa Joe was going to let him in. Now, look, I love people, and we need to help people, but we have to do it the right way. We have to do it a way that's going to actually work. They're predicted to spend, I think it's $86 million on hotels for these
Wow.
people coming across.
Or Fort Bliss, 5,000 beds at Fort Bliss.
Yeah. So, okay, what if we did something with that $86 million
In aid to the country.
in aid to the country?
Yeah.
What if we, I don't know. I don't have the answers per se, but what I mean by this is we can't open things up. These towns of 35,000 people, they're being overrun, literally overrun. I don't know. It's frustrating to me.
I always get a kick out of it. And you're a huge movie buff, but remember the movie Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always think of that. I really do. Have you guys seen the movie Dave?
Yeah.
Where just simple things that we think of that we could cut. What was it? An example, if you cut
yeah.
$2 million off of this, you got to save the orphanage. And he just, as a human, as a general guy, just did it. You know what I mean? And I think about that movie in today, like, can they take that money and just, it seems like an average Joe, not mean Joe, average person could be able to do that. And they're just talking about millions and millions of dollars. That just seems crazy.
Well, and going back to the people just coming across the border, I wanted to pull this up. I've got some friends that live in Texas, and they're in northern Texas, and they're trying to distribute these kids everywhere they can away from the border because they don't have the room.
Putting them on buses and stuff. Yeah.
And of course, this
Dallas.
is in local news down there, but not anywhere else. Of 3,000 kids that were sent to a convention center in their town, 90 of those kids had MS-13 tattoos.
Oh.
Wow.
How is that not?
Do you have the source that you can say on that or not?
I would have to search it. Yeah. He just made that comment that
Yeah, I've heard that too.
out of the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, 90 of the 3,000 kids had MS-13 tattoo images.
So kind of going back to President Biden's press conference he had yesterday, we're talking about immigration. One of the things he brought up was when he was senator or vice president and they had problems in other countries with crime and drug cartels, they got light bulbs for the cities. They got lights for the cities. So now that we're having problems with gun, issues and take away your guns, let's just all install more light bulbs and everything else like that he wants to do. Maybe that'll take care of some of the crime we're having. I don't know, in Minneapolis or whatever. Just install a bunch of light bulbs and budget all that for that.
Oh, what?
The name of the convention.
Oh,
center
okay,
is-
okay.
But
We're
he
just
brought
trying to
up-
find a source for the.
Yeah, he brought up that the reporter brought up that little boy, or the White House reporter brought up that little boy. But talking to the mom, like she said, good time Joe. But President Biden also, as part of that press conference, also said these kids are being sent back. We're trying to work with the Mexico government. These kids, these under 18 kids, are being sent back. But according to all the news releases and news reports, they are not. So who do we believe, President Biden or the news that actually says, no, they're in a conference center and different things like that, and they're being sent all over the United States or North, compared to what he's saying? Because he said they're actually being sent back to Mexico. Under 18, he said that they're actually being sent back.
No, maybe some are, but not very many.
But that's what he said as part of his press conference. People don't realize it. They are being sent back. We don't realize it, but they are being sent back. The majority of them are being sent back. He said that as part of his press conference.
He talked out of both sides of his mouth.
I know.
I mean, he did in this press conference. So,
which just shows you there's a lot of confusion on what's going on, and it'd be nice if they just, because it's a crisis. Let's just put it out there. It's not a challenge anymore. It's beyond that. It's a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Confusing articles, confusing information. Just listening to you guys, because I don't know a whole bunch about this. I will say that. And of course, I always take the emotional approach. We talked about this last week. We're talking about it again. So right there tells me it's more of a challenge. This is the second week in a row we're talking about this. And again, the emotional harmony goes back to that 9-year-old boy whose mother sent him on quite a journey. I can't imagine sending my 16-year-old son on that journey. I can't imagine a 9-year-old. So
I can't imagine taking that journey.
there you go. And so that tells me I always like to go back. I always like to go back and find out what is going on that's so bad that we are having this happen.
That you're
What is
risking
going
your
on in
child.
Honduras, which we all know there's crime and there's drugs and there's gangs and there's poverty. So bad that mothers are sending their 9-year-old children, if not younger, to what they hope is freedom and stability
On a 1,000-mile trip with complete
yeah.
strangers.
So let's just get the story straight. That's what I'm going to put out there, because I am fully admitting I don't know the whole story, but let's get this figured out. Let's help our people. Let's help these 9-year-old children. And let's, with doing so, in a healthy manner, that we're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with the pandemic. Let's keep us safe.
But we can't help everybody. So we have to decide who and where. We are the country of the United States of America. So where do we draw the line? Are people at home? Are people in Miami? Are people in Texas? Are people with COVID? Are veterans? Are homeless? And then we have a whole nother country that they want to help. So where do we draw the line?
Did you guys see the quote that I put up the other day? Do you walk around like a celebrity? You should.
Yes.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
You are the most important person in your life. Act like it. So that's what we need to do as a country, I believe, too, because if we have an empty bucket, we will not be able to water anybody else. I mean, that's just the reality. If we can't take care of tax-paying citizens, we're not going to have any people to pay taxes. It's just not going to happen. You cannot have one without the other. You can't help people without having a solid economy, having a solid tax base and things like that. And believe me, I am not saying, those of you who are watching and listening, I'm not saying we shouldn't help, but we have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's really, really scary and frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many things that are disingenuous. My comment yesterday to Harmony, your article, I had a very quick search, and it wasn't to offend anybody, but at a very quick search, the Kentucky law is messed up, right? Anybody with that kind of mental issue basically would have been roaming the streets. It had nothing to do with the person's color.
Right.
but that's so disingenuous. And you know why? They're getting tons of clicks. That little few words gets people's attention. And so what good does that do?
Right.
When you're being disingenuous and you're lying about it, then who do you believe? Don't believe us. Go do your research.
Yeah.
This is opinion. You know, I don't know. I'm maybe
Although I'm starting to
ranting
think
way
to
too
believe
much.
us more than some of the other sources. That's what I'm seeing.
I think my point is that we have to teach people how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
And that's the idea,
Exactly.
I guess. And not that we need to agree. Anybody else want to? I'm getting worked up about this.
It is. It's a lot.
It's when you're talking about the humanitarian part of it, of these kids being pushed across the border by their parents. Their parents want them to have a better, safer life. How can you not be emotional about that? You know, we all have kids of different ages, and I mean, my daughter's only 4. I know there's younger kids than 9 in those caravans. I as a parent, I couldn't do that. Like you said, Harmony, how bad is it that you're willing to risk your child's life for safety? Because these kids aren't. This isn't a walk in the park for these kids, and there's some pretty unhumane things happening to these kids as
Very
well.
much so.
So what about our forefathers who sent their ancestors over to our country that came through Ellis Island legally? I mean, think about what their countries were like and what they left and abandoned, and the families and, you know, heritage and different things like that. But they came to our country legally through Ellis Island. They had sponsors, they had families, they had churches. You know, I mean, what happened to all that?
It's a good question.
What happened to all that?
How do you? Let's see if I can pull it up.
Should be 2 L.
Oh yeah, I see.
Ellis Island.
So keep talking about
Oh.
that.
Well,
Don't let me distract you.
Okay,
Remember, I'm not
so-
supposed to let you distract me.
You're not supposed to distract us. I mean, what happened to all that? I mean, we all have ancestors that came over to the United States of America for a better life. You know?
Well, and the people that have done the process the proper way, refugees and immigrants coming from other countries, you know, you see their interviews on TV, and they're upset that they've gone through the proper channels, yet here these other people are, walking across the border, not following the procedures. You know, there's people that have worked 10, 15 years to get their citizenship, and they've gone about it the right way, and they're not happy about what's happening either.
And they've learned the American way. I mean, they were taught, they had to take classes, the American way of what is expected out of them. Plus, they adapted to our country to come to our country.
What do you mean by that?
They've adapted. I mean, they left values and maybe
Traditions
language
and culture.
Yeah, and culture, you know, when they left their country and now they came to America,
They've assimilated to a point.
cohabitated.
I think cohabitated is where it's important, though. I'm not sure. I've had the privilege of visiting a lot of countries. China, one of them, Ireland, Spain, Italy, and it's really cool, the culture, right? And so these Chinatowns or whatever, I've never been to one, but I hear about them. I mean, it sounds kind of cool, like right here in the United States. It's kind of a cool thing. What I think, in my opinion, that we need to look at is not that they need to necessarily assimilate across the board. That's why we were a country. I mean, so that you could come in here and kind of do your thing, as long as you left everybody alone, essentially, and you didn't disrupt what was happening.
Don't hinder on others' rights.
Right, exactly. You don't hinder on others' rights. And so I don't want to lose that culture. I mean,
St. Patty's Day.
Has to be kind of a balance or a border. I think we lost internet for a second there, but sorry, I think we cut out. We lost internet for a second, everybody. But the thing for me on that is that you have to respect the boundaries of what our Constitution is.
Right.
That's the
Yes.
difference.
That's a better
Yes.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the boundaries of our Constitution.
Right. Don't leave your culture at the border. Bring that in and share that with us, but you also have to follow the values of our Constitution and follow our laws and be productive people for our society and not just.
I agree. And what I was going to say is going back again to my days of being a nanny, I think that's what makes America so beautiful.
Absolutely.
I never would have been able to experience the Jewish culture or the Scottish culture. I was so fortunate to work for families of that, of those nationalities, and I learned so much. And, it's wonderful to be able to, even still years later to think not only the things that I learned, but maybe recipes or traditions. And it's a beautiful thing. I think it was very, it worked out well. I helped the children, as Martha May was talking about, with American customs and holidays and things like that. But at the same time, they taught me about Boxing Day and things like that. So I think it's a beautiful thing when we can all come together and just enjoy each other and each other's traditions and cultures.
Yeah, I agree.
I had an opportunity to go to I hope I have the right term. It's a religion based in India. I think it's Sikh, where they have the turbans. Not joking about that. It's a small religion in India. There's a lot of medical professionals in Rochester that have this religion, and there's a small group that they made at one of the churches bi-weekly.
Craig, we made a rule last week. No hitting the table.
But yeah, but it was put hands on your sit on your hands.
No,
but
not
it was
that bad, but it really it disrupts watching things back and listening back. It disrupts the cameras and the mics. And so
Okay.
That's
sorry guys.
Sorry.
But it was
Craig missed last week. So.
Yeah,
I have two rules. What are my two rules now?
Don't hit the table
and no swearing.
And no swearing, because we don't want to get booted off.
Oh man, that's a lot of
the
work.
two.
Booted off for other reasons.
We'll get booted off
last
for our
week.
commentary on things, not for swearing.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a neat experience. It was a culture that I had never been exposed to, and here I had the opportunity to go to a wedding, and it was really eye opening. It was cool to listen to their views on the world and how they live their lives and how open they were. And they said, if you ever just want our type of food, come every other week and you're welcome to sit down and break bread with us. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, it was really cool.
I have the opportunity. I love what I do, and as you know, I'm not going to talk about it on the air, but I'm waiting for that opportunity with the Department of Transportation. And the thing for me is I get on average I'm in about 5 or 6 lifts every week. I 3 to 4 hotels every week, 3 to 5 airplanes every week. I get exposure to all types of people, and that's so important. And we need to have more of that, not less of that. And we need to have more of the conversations. I had 2 amazing conversations, very different conversations yesterday, but equally incredible, just because, who they are, who I was, and how open they were to converse. It was amazing, completely incredible. And that is so missing right now. And we talk about the critical race theory stuff and identity politics and all these things. Let's find out what we have in common and just stop all that garbage with it. It's not we can each have our religion. We can each have our what we have political views on. We can each have that, but we can each have dinner, like you say. We just have to do that. I don't know.
Sit down together and break bread.
We can't. We have to, as people, we have to stop trying to conquer the other side. No matter, respect the other side equally. Because there's good ideas. If you sit down and talk about it, you navigate through it. There's good ideas in everything, as long as it's not an evil intent.
Correct.
But we ready to talk about Goose Creek? Hey, I got a couple of messages here, and if you're watching currently, no, I will not say your name if you send me a comment. And certainly at the end of the show or towards the end of the show, we'll probably read some of the comments. We'll see. But,
Unless you want us to say your name, right?
yeah, maybe you could say that in there. That like, hey, yeah, you could say my name. That's fine. But the thing, you know, I'm going to look at the camera right now, and I'm going to ask you to do us a favor. We are not sponsored by anybody. We're here to volunteer. We made a 6-month commitment to each other. I'm just going to be real transparent on that. In that we said we're going to do this for 6 months, see how it goes, see if there's interest. What I did realize in the last probably 10 to 15 days is I sent people a lot of messages, and a lot of people have not even heard about this show yet. Now, I want to say it in this respect. I have over 100,000 hits on just my Facebook page alone, and people aren't seeing these videos. I don't know why that is, but it's up to you to share it, to like it, to comment on it. That helps the algorithms, and that helps us out. And if you share it, I understand your name is out there and things like that. And sometimes we talk about political things. Sometimes I rant like crazy, like I just did. But that really does help us. That really is important. And as I say, hammer the like button, hammer the share button, and go to my videos and watch that hammer video. It's really corny, like me.
Still don't touch this. Definitely touch it.
Yes, exactly. But you are important to us, so we thank you for watching, and we thank you for hitting the share button and like button and all that. So Goose Creek Rest Stop wins 2nd Golden Turkey Award. Extravagant 7.2 million Goose Creek Rest Stop wins the Turkey Award, Golden Turkey Award, for wasteful spending.
Yep.
I saw this and I could not stop laughing.
I'm glad, because you know what? I picked a lighter topic this
Yeah.
week without being political, but
Without being
It's gonna
political,
go
this is
political.
about as political as it can be.
I know, but you know what I mean?
It's not
Like,
presidential political.
It's a turkey award, Goose Creek. I mean, it's just stupidity. Stupid is, stupid does. So take it from there, I guess. It's just
This rest area has been in and out of the news for years because they had huge delays on this project. I think the
I don't think it's
The site has
7.2
been
million. I
closed
think it's
for,
way
like,
more
4
than
years.
that.
yeah, 'cause it's on the way to Duluth, so you know we go up there a couple times a year and we've passed it, and it's been closed for a long time.
I don't know. I'm just, when I read it and I saw the video, definitely Brazilian wood. I mean, come on, guys.
We
Like,
got to
we're
stop in
surrounded
and
by
pee,
wood.
and
We're surrounded by wood. This
Matt,
is so
you're a
weird.
worker.
I want to touch.
Expensive is-
I'll touch on the EP. The EP has been around a long time. It's a high end decking.
Mhm.
So I mean, they make it sound like it's mahogany, which it kind of is, but
It's more expensive
It's-
than mahogany. I googled it.
it's expensive wood, but it's not like
I mean, it's
gold.
beautiful, don't
It
get
is
me
beautiful,
wrong,
but for a
man,
rest
look
area,
at her.
it's
It's
complete
fancy.
overkill.
I mean,
Br-
are people going to
expensive.
walk into the rest area and be like, "Wow, this wood, the quality"?
The
I
Taj
mean,
Mahal of
Wait, and you're
Gen-
in the
crappers.
woods. You're
Generally-
in the woods.
generally,
so why are we
uh,
not using real wood, like from the area?
well, it's real, but it's not local.
I know, from the area.
well,
I know.
it's the Green New Deal.
It's the carbon footprint to bring Ipe from Brazil up here is ridiculous.
I mean, you could go so deep on the wrong things done here. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
You know, these are the people that this Green New Deal and the you know the carbon footprint, like you say, Craig. I mean, that is insane that they spent that kind of money.
And where
Yeah.
that money could have been used.
Brazilian,
Crazy.
yeah, exactly. We
Feed a
talk
lot of
about
people.
$86 million for the
Jeez.
hotels for putting these kids in down on the border. I mean, come on, you know this isn't. Let's go. You know how many wells that you could dig in some of these areas that don't have clean
Clean
water
water.
for $7.2 million?
Scary.
Sign me freaking up.
Right.
How many impoverished areas in Minnesota could use that money?
Exactly.
And I was, of course, I'm like, how many mouths you could feed? That was
Yeah.
what I thought. I'm like, that is a lot of food.
But here's the thing: the four of you did, maybe Martha May. We'll
What?
exclude you.
What did I do?
Oh,
Would you have ever noticed this kind of stuff before we
No.
brought the show up?
I didn't even know this.
Would-
I've
Would-
noticed this before, but
Sure. Well,
because we go
you've
by
been,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I mean is this kind of spending and this kind of ridiculous spending.
Absolutely.
Did you really pay
Oh, I'm gonna
attention?
take that as a
Yes, I
compliment.
did.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
But
I
the
did,
point
yeah.
the point is that most people, 99.9% of the people would have wouldn't even realize what was happening.
It's not a bleep on the radar.
So going
Yeah.
back to the turkey award, the Golden Turkey Award, the first turkey award was last year, and did you read what got that first place award?
The morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
$6.9 million
Yeah,
morgue.
that leaks the
Yeah.
roof and got all the PPE gear wet and everything like that. And the funny part is when they did the video for touring the place, it like the beauty of going around the Brazilian wood and the rounded glass and little patio, it's closed off. Like it's in the middle of the winter and it's closed off. They said, actually, when I looked into it, because there's too much moisture on the decking, people can't even go
It's
and
slippery.
enjoy the whole rest stop. Like you can't even enjoy the whole view of the rest stop into the woods and everything like that. So it's just crazy.
It is a beautiful area.
Well,
I mean, if you're going to stop and you're going to stretch your legs for a little bit, I mean, it's nice. But you can enjoy the area. It doesn't have to be the building.
At what
Right.
cost? Right.
Yeah.
right. And why not use locally sourced materials
Oh
and
my
support
God.
local lumbermen
Yeah.
and local yards that,
They supported Brazil.
well, they supported the importers that,
Yeah.
that's what's frustrating is, we try to buy local and all that. And then you have this as an example of the complete opposite of that. So, and this, like I said, this started years ago. This has been a fiasco for 4, 5, 6 years. So,
Well, we're talking about it, so it sounds like maybe let's go another year with it.
Absolutely.
Because I think we're all a little disappointed.
well, what it reminds me of, and I, this came out last year talking to a friend that works for a federal agency. Sorry, a government agency. It's not federal. And he talked about the wasteful spending. And this was when I was going through that campaign stuff. And he said, and this ties into how goofy our government is. And they had to bring in materials for a yearly project. And they used preferential treatment for minority owned suppliers while using their algorithms. Instead of using a supplier that had access to the river, they had to use a supplier that had to truck from 3 states away. The cost of that, using that preferential ownership business owner, cost the state $300,000, and the contractor that was the supplier couldn't meet the goals, couldn't meet the delivery needs because they were trucking individual. Things like that to help, minority owned or women owned businesses. I get that, but at what point do we say, okay, that's not beneficial? It's not worth additional money. I mean, that's another $300,000 that was wasted. That could have fixed some roads or put in some wells or
Well, that's what they're
Or
talking
help
about
some
at the beginning
kids.
of the article. Like how much of that money could have been? It was taken out of. Wasn't the money taken out of the
Yeah, well, any of
road
that,
and,
it should be taken out of the.
highway use?
From road and bridge.
yeah, it would have been MnDOT
Yeah,
stuff.
road and bridge funding. So, we complained about Highway 14 over here that took so long to get fixed or is still not getting fixed or whatever. That goes all the way to the western side of the state. I mean, then meanwhile, we have a rest stop.
I think we know where we're doing our next podcast.
At a really fancy outhouse.
Crapper.
Yeah, the railing and patio
on
is
the-
closed.
on the
Most people
Crapper
would,
and
yeah.
Goose Creek.
I mean, that's a lot of porta potties for a long time.
But fourth place, Spirit Mountain, Ski Hill. Why is government like tax dollars going into Spirit Mountain?
And to bail them out because everything got closed with COVID.
Yeah,
But that's been long before COVID.
The long before COVID. 2013, it talks about when they got bailed out and the new chalet or whatever. It says here, if we build it, they will come.
This ain't
I
no
mean,
Field of Dreams.
it's
What are you
not.
talking about?
I know.
Shoot,
And
Joe
I
Jackson would be
I can
disappointed.
understand the economic impact for Duluth, which is a huge summer town, and you have all those empty hotels in the winter, but it's a ski resort, and there's a lot of ski resorts in that area. So I understand their intention of trying to get people up to Duluth,
Yeah.
but at what cost to the
There's a
city?
but.
Yeah. So runner up,
That's close to home.
the Chatfield Center for the Arts, after a very public veto. Now let me read that again. After a very public veto of funding for the Chatfield Brass Band Music Library in 2008, this small town south of Rochester did get the last laugh from the 2020 legislature. The Chatfield Center for the Arts received $8.7 million to improve their facility, a huge amount of money for a town with fewer than 3,000 residents.
I bet those residents would rather have had that money spent on their school than an art center.
For sure.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
the 1.9 billion borrowing bill, over 161 million in the bill went for court projects like skating rinks, community centers, theaters, museums, zoos, and even a salt shed.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff I can understand. They improve communities as a whole.
We just had a comment
but-
while we're on this. We just had a comment that the rest area has a skateboard park.
Okay.
Is that, I don't know.
Because that's what people want to do in between.
I-
between the cities and Duluth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because in the
Yeah.
article they did in the video, they said it was a play area.
In the video?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was a
Yeah, I
corner.
missed. I didn't watch
But-
the video.
But it was in snow, remember? It was in snow.
Sure,
and that's why
sure,
the
sure.
patio was because there was water.
So that
leaking
makes
on
up
the
for
roof.
this.
Right. The 1,000 people a day that stop there, or the 100,000 people in Rochester where they haven't touched their skate park in years, where kids can walk to it. And here you can't access that unless you're on the interstate. Yeah.
Um,
Quit bitching and run for office.
Right?
Well.
Governor 2022.
All right.
It told me that.
All the way, right?
Good.
are you going to talk today at all, Lisa?
I-
How are you
I'm
feeling
just-
at your
yes.
birthday party
No,
last
it's
night?
Good. I keep going back to the movie Dave. I see all these millions and dollars they're just throwing away, and it's just crazy.
Speaking of
Yeah.
throwing away.
Let's talk about some cookies.
weren't they throwing
But
away?
let's talk about a Minnesota man that made national news in the New York Post, nonetheless, that he is busted for stealing $1,200 worth of Girl Scout cookies.
Way to go, Minnesota.
Let's narrow that down to in Rochester.
Way to go, Rochester.
Let's
Or
narrow
no.
it down to
Or-
Orinoco.
He's
Orinoco.
from Orinoco, but it
From
happened in
Orinoco.
Rochester. By in Rochester. It's in
Yeah.
that vicinity.
Yeah.
So there's no grocery store there, but it's in that areas where they're warehousing their cookies this year.
So yeah, I mean he
Tell everybody.
That's why I gave it a general
Those-
vicinity.
officers searched his vehicle and also allegedly found stolen license plates, bolt cutters, and a used meth pipe in addition to a small amount of heroin.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Full gamut there.
So is he going to set up like a? What was his plan?
Type, you are not hungry. Okay, you have no craving. You do not want to eat. So he was going to sell those 23 cases of cookies.
Now, if he would have had marijuana, it would have been a completely different story.
That's the street value of these, right?
$5 a box. It can be yours.
$4 a box for these.
Oh, four.
Well, you got them cheap.
I have seen them go for $5. So what would he have marked them at?
Locally, they're selling for $5.
Wait until they're, wait till the whole business is sort of dying out. And they'd be like, wait, there's more. And
He was gonna set up his own little stand and do a trunk sale.
Right.
or his pop-up stand or
maybe he was going to
something
be
like that.
smart and go outside of the dispensary. Right?
Good call.
Maybe. I mean, we're a lot of assumptions here.
The guy's released on bail.
Uh,
Felony what?
Yeah,
Felony
If he would have had one less case of cookies, it would have been under $1,000, and it wouldn't have been a felony charge. Like he did not think this through.
Maybe he had a receipt for $300.
Gross misdemeanor. I mean, come on, man. Use your head.
The greed just got to me.
How did he
One
get
less
pulled
case.
over? Did it say how he got pulled over? I mean, this is where police officers find things, I mean, stupid is, stupid does, and they just kind of
Hey, that's Forrest Gump. That's twice you've used Forrest
I
Gump
know.
today.
Oh, I didn't even know
I
that.
think what happened was like I want to
Maybe
say
it's just all about being stupid. I don't know. Where's the
Let-
common sense?
let's-
right? Common sense.
Let's
Not
just
a
roll
response.
with stupid. Stupid
Yeah.
is as stupid does as Forrest Gump.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
go
stupid
from a
is.
meth pipe to a crackhead. San Diego man arrested for taking 2-year-old inside elephant exhibit at the zoo. 25-year-old man was arrested Friday after police said he and his 2-year-old daughter made it well inside the elephant exhibit at the San Diego Zoo. And it goes on about what happened. It says that they hear this woman yelling at Jose to stop. Witnesses said that he jumps the fence and then goes through the elephant enclosure with his little girl that was under 2. He says he runs through, throws his baby through the gate, and it's seconds from hitting him. He jumps through the gate, falls on the ground, and then it roared. Speaking of the elephant, the baby starts crying, and people were just mad at this guy. I don't know.
I don't know.
This-
It's like what?
And nobody had it on video. That's what I'm surprised.
That's what amazes
Yeah,
me.
right.
Nobody had
How
their
did he get
camera
that
out.
far? How did he get in there? It's
It's
not like there's one
crazy.
little fence.
No.
This was crazy to me. I picked this article because being a photographer, he did this for a selfie in front of the elephant. That's
That
the
was his
main reason.
reasoning?
That was his reasoning.
Yeah.
So it's like I get it, but
No, I
no,
don't
I
get
don't
it.
get it. It's not worth that. You know, when we were in Hawaii and there would be people standing on the edge of the volcano just to get that one extra perfect selfie or a perfect something. Think about this, you know, and that's one side of it. The other side is endangering this child, and he actually dropped her as he was getting out.
He threw her
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
over the
But
fence.
Yes.
Threw his baby. I'm like,
Yes.
what? A 2-year-old. Of course the baby's gonna be crying. I don't know.
And
I mean,
know
maybe
that-
he was jumping on the grenade and got his kid out of the way, but you shouldn't have brought her in there.
But if there were people enough, and I'm not saying anything negative towards the zoo, but I'm just saying if there were enough people around and people were seeing this, nobody from that zoo could have got there fast enough to.
Or the visitors.
Yes, that's what I mean. It just seems crazy that it led to this, that it got this far into it.
And the fact that nobody, again, we've mentioned it, was filming it is amazing because everybody
Right.
films everything nowadays.
Everything.
So was it that like awe-inspiring that nobody could do anything? They couldn't
Did he
pick up
get
the
his
phone?
selfie though? Did he get his selfie? That's what I want to know.
He crapped
Out
his
of
I think they
all
took
this,
his phone
did
and
he
yeah.
get his selfie compared to
It
his
said he
fucking
was.
picture?
The only thing I remember is it said
You know
he
what
was trying to
got?
get
He got $100,000.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he
Yeah.
got a
Bail.
nice little bail there. So add
Yeah.
that to your record. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Bet he won't be doing that again.
He did it once. He might do it again.
Right?
Because he's gonna screw it up for other people. Because now he got past all those boundaries and everything like that, and now they'll just ruin it for other people. Because
That are going to
they'll-
try and get
yeah,
selfies
they'll
with
have-
elephants.
They'll
Let's
have
hope
to,
not.
no, they'll have to put up more parameters so other
Right.
crazy people with
If-
kids don't do that.
I think it's actually a good thing. Sometimes these things are a good thing to realize that, you know, even idiots can get through things. So I think if anything, we're going to take a learning lesson out of this. They need to be more prepared, make sure nobody can get through. So,
Mhm.
you know, sometimes it's unfortunate that tragedies create more boundaries and we think of more laws and stuff like that. So hopefully nobody else will be doing this in the near future.
I think that we need to have less laws and we need to be less tolerant.
Amen. Thank you.
I really
Let nature work itself out.
no. I think the forefathers had it. I think they did a pretty dynamically, incredibly good job. Our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, all these things. If you got rid of everything like they did then, this stuff didn't happen. This stuff happens. The gun violence wasn't around, and every single person had an arsenal.
Mhm.
And there weren't mass shootings. This didn't happen. This stuff did not happen. When it started happening was when we started to say no on all these things instead of yes on all these things.
Well, natural selection. If you go into an elephant cage, the elephant's going to take care of it.
Just like they do right now. It's not about gun control. It's about gun encouragement. So people should be carrying compared to controlling that you're not carrying. Do you get the difference of it?
Yeah,
That's
no,
a
I
whole
totally
nother
do.
episode.
I know. I know. He brought it up. I know.
Oh, yeah. Natural selection comes to mind. Maybe that's why things were better back then, because the idiots were just taken care of naturally. But that's kind of sadistic. But
I did a speech not long after COVID had hit, in everything just everybody went crazy. And I said, why are people so, what's your belief system? It's too long I'm going to try to sum it up. Let me put it like this. I said, what's your belief system? Is your belief system religion? Is your belief system like evolution? Is that what you base natural selection on? And do you believe in science? Is that your belief system? Or do you believe in government? Is that your belief system? Because when I was talking to a lot of people, that's what people believed, right? It was either like they were religious people, they believed in science, that was kind of their belief system, and government was also another belief system, whether it was our government or where they were from or whatever might have been. And then, obviously evolution is a belief system. And all those people were scared when COVID hit. Well, if you're religious, you shouldn't be scared because you believe in a higher power and someone else is in control.
Right.
You believe in evolution, you shouldn't be scared because natural selection. If you're going to go, you can't change it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you believe in government. I can see the fear there because the government constantly changes. I can see the fear in science because science constantly changes. And not only did it change, is they would never agree on anything when this first started, and they're still not. So there's those. So what I'm saying is that you really have to understand your belief system in order for you to move forward and decide what you're going to do, what you're going to complain about, what you're going to say should and shouldn't be. But we have to say yes to more things and no to less things. That's just my rant again. I'm on a rant today.
You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
I should be a professional speaker or something.
Give it a try.
Hey, we can hire you.
Yeah.
You're for hire, aren't you?
I have
Of
cookies
course.
to pay you off.
Yeah. They're hot, but we got cookies.
Fresh out of the trunk.
Did it all for the
Fresh out of the
cookie.
trunk.
So now
Seriously,
it's a box.
where did you get it?
Well,
7, 10.
I'll give you 8.
Yeah, 10. I'm an entrepreneur. 10.
I just wanted to say thank you to Natalie. Actually, her mom was so kind to meet me.
Yeah,
on our
shout
lunch
out to
break.
Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie,
Aw.
Girl
Thanks,
Scout
Natalie.
of America, and her mom met me on her lunch break yesterday, and I was able to get all these cookies. So thank you to Natalie and her mom. And we love supporting our Girl Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Very
My
nice.
waist does too.
Yeah. After that rant,
I so quiet.
everybody's like,
Yeah.
hello, now what?
So moving.
Mic check.
To wrap it up, we're at an hour, so
Sure.
we try to be an hour. So
Yeah.
let's wrap this thing up.
Very nice.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm gonna throw it over to my left. Let me explain what we have going on. To my left, I've had some people ask, not today, but some people have asked. To my left is where Craig and Martha May are, and then we also have a monitor over on the end of the table here, the opposite end of where I'm sitting. Is a monitor, huge, like I don't know, is that 65-inch or something like that monitor. So everybody can see on this monitor what we're looking at on the computer and stuff like that, which we show on the screen for you every now and then. So that's what's to my left. To my right, we said earlier, is Lisa and Harmony and things like that. So let's go left and tell us how we can find you.
Craig Buglin. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Martha Makashadi on Facebook. And last week 2 weeks ago, I said it was Mike Lundell, but now he's going to call it Frank.
And I'm Harmony Sage, and you can find me on Facebook.
Lisa Lingle, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
You're so professional. You two over there.
Oh, and we're not.
We're not.
No.
Well,
Well,
let me call a spade a spade.
That's what we're all about. We look
they're
different. We
memes,
act
yeah.
different. We all have different perspectives.
Just giving y'all crap.
Yeah.
I am Matt Logan. You can find me everywhere at Matt Logan Speaks, also mattloganspeaks.com. The website's taking a little bit longer. I mean, we're trying to build it and stuff. And I've been working like the people that help me out a ton, and a lot of stuff going on in the background. I talked about, maybe I'll throw this out there at the end here. I talked about some of the plans. So I'm planning on buying a bus. Did you know that? Have I talked
Is
about
it
that
a-
before?
You mentioned it briefly.
We're gonna go on the
I'm-
road with you, you said.
we're
We're gonna go to Hawaii and then we're gonna go on the road with you.
I thought we were heading down to the border.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We're hitting that rest stop first.
Yeah, yeah.
We gotta go to
Other
Hawaii.
direction. Which border? Because that'd be Canada, but yeah.
I need some Brazilian wood in my life.
The point being is there's so many
Enrique?
things that are constantly going on, and we can't talk about all of them, but buy a bus, do podcasts on the road, go to an area for a couple of days. You probably all can't come with me. It's too expensive for me to foot the bill, but what can I say? We'll
We
see.
can do fundraisers, go fund.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
sell Girl
Yeah.
Scout cookies.
And so, right. Yeah.
There's some Brazilian wood. Yeah. Governments, yeah.
Totally. I think I know where we can find some Brazilian
We need
wood.
sponsors. We need sponsorships. We need our
But
own
yeah,
sponsors.
I guess the nuts and bolts of it, Matt Logan Speaks, I started to be kind of a cultural thing and a positive cultural thing. Like it's not just about news or politics. It's not just about, I do a lot of distracted driving work. It's not just about that. It's about having fun, like we're having fun while discussing these things. I started at the first live event. Some people here in this room were there in September of 2019. That was the first live event, and that COVID kind of wrecked that. We did a live event in March, live podcast actually. So we did a podcast live in front of a live audience, and that's the things that we're trying to do here is really build culture. I'm working on something else, another podcast, entertainment, kind of talk about entertainment, movies, things like that. So just about positive culture, not anything with a agenda or do it this way. And it's not a culture war type thing. It's just a look at things in a different positive way. So a lot of things going on. So we do appreciate you watching, listening, hammering the share button, hammering the like button, hammer out a comment to us. And we will see you at noon next Friday.
Bye, everybody.